Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching FANTAVISION, and today is another Tales from Retail. So today's topic actually came from the podcast that we'll be releasing this Friday, and spoiler alert, I did the podcast with Camelot 331. We discussed what would happen if GameStop died, because I keep seeing death just right around the corner for this company. We're all seeing it. The stock prices are going up and down and up and down. I just saw a news article about how they might be losing $42 million in broken contracts and mortgages and stuff like that if they close their 200 stores like they planned. I mean, it's just a complete disaster for that company. But what would happen if it got shut down? Now, it's a Tales from Retail because I do have some sort of, I have some insight into what is going on at GameStop and what cannot be fixed if it were to be succeeded, which is a definite possibility if GameStop goes under. Because GameStop, it started as quite a few stores actually. It started as, well, GameStop, EB Games, FuncoLand, and software, etc. Now, GameStop started buying up all these different companies, and then I think Babbage's was one of them. I don't know. There's lots of different companies that have been absorbed by GameStop. And the thing is with all of those companies, there was no real unique thing for each one of them. I'm trying to think back to what made EB Games different from GameStop. It's pretty much the same damn store. They had weird alternate cover art. I think Play and Trade did too. Or was it... I don't know. Some of them had weird alternate cover art if you didn't have the original cover art. And that's about it. That's like the only difference I remember was the weird alternate cover art. Besides that, they all felt like about the same store. I remember I had 3 of them all in the same mall. I had Software, etc., EB Games, and GameStop in the same freaking building. It was the weirdest thing on the planet. So I'd take my game to each one of them to see who would give me the best trading credit. And between GameStop and EB Games, like I said, there's really no difference to the store layout. Felt pretty much the same. But Software, etc. always had that darker atmosphere, and they sold cards. So I bought some... Oh, what were they back then? I randomly bought some Magic cards, and they were one of the unsets. And they were really cool. I think it was Unhinged. I don't remember which one it was. They came in like a paper booster pack. You guys don't care about this part. But they had other things besides video games in that store. And then once it got bought out, and there's no more Software, etc., they didn't carry that sort of thing anymore. But now you look at GameStop nowadays and you go, oh, well, Fanta, now GameStop's kind of like Software, etc., because they've got other things besides video games in there. And the reason they have other things besides video games in their stores is because the video game used market, I mean, it's drying up, guys. I mean, they can't compete with the pricing of all these other stores, and that's why they're going to go under. They're bad service, and they're bad prices. Their trade-in credit, honestly, is pretty much the best I've seen from any of these stores, because Walmart has tried doing it, Target's tried doing it, and Best Buy's tried doing it. And whenever I took games into any of those stores, normally GameStop gave a better trading credit, because unless it was a brand new game that just came out, those other stores did not care. GameStop is also unique in the fact that it carries retro games, which you could argue there are going to be retro stores popping up once GameStop is dead. But the thing is, I mean, we used to have Play and Trade here, and Play and Trade was like GameStop, but it had a more focus on retro, because at that time, GameStop was not dealing with retro stuff. Now they are, but back then they weren't. And they also had the idea, just like GameStop, to allow you to play the games before you buy them. But where's Play and Trade now? They're not here. Pretty sure they're not a nationwide company anymore. I think they're just in California. The thing is I don't know if we're ever going to see a megalithic gaming store ever again. If we do, I don't quite know how it's going to be run. I really don't. Because if we have something, even if they go by the new GameStop model where it's all generations of games and they have a play area, unless this is a massive store and they're charging per hour, or they're having like Magic tournaments, or they're doing something else. They have to be having some sort of constant income and something that brings in traffic. So they're going to need to host tournaments. They're going to need to host, whether it be card game tournaments or video game tournaments. And you know what? Card game tournaments are not even a good idea because they don't sell singles, and singles are where the money is at when it comes to card stores. They're not, I mean, yeah, they make some money off the sealed product, but most of their money is made off the unsealed singles. The ones that people have traded in, kind of like GameStop, and then people use trading credit or they buy it with cash, and then you've got a secondary market. So card stores are kind of like GameStop in that. And there's another reason why card stores are not usually super profitable. There's no nationwide card stores that I can think of. Maybe you have one in your area that's a huge chain, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. So it's just something that I feel like is going to, I don't think it's going to explode in local places, but we're going to see a few more local places open up. And even then, we've already got something here called Bookman's. And the only reason that they do so well is because they're a used everything store. They take in instruments and books and comic books and video games and like super retro video games and consoles and everything. Everything you can think of pretty much, they have it. And you can buy it. They don't have guns, but everything besides firearms, they have it. Pawn shops, they already exist. It's like the same sort of thing as GameStop, but I don't want to go inside because I feel like the guy behind the counter is going to stab me. So we're going to see a couple more family places open up, but I don't think we're going to have another mega giant company like GameStop again. I think this was a one-time thing, especially as more and more people buy digitally. As PC becomes more popular, there's nobody buying physical PC games. I mean, I do occasionally when I used to buy Blizzard's games because it was beautiful. The packaging was wonderful. It came with a bunch of stuff. I think I bought like the collector's edition of Frostpunk because it was cheaper than digital for some reason, but it came with an art book and a bunch of other stuff. But normally I buy my PC games digitally because of Steam sales or Humble Bundle, which I discussed in my last video. So when there are cheaper, easier, more convenient options than going to the store, especially in a growing market of PC users and a growing market of digital-only people, we're going to see the need for a games-only store disappear. Now, the fact that the next console is going to support Xbox One and PS4 games, well, I mean, respectively, the PlayStation 5 is going to, support PlayStation 4. Xbox Scarlet is going to, support Xbox One games. This, you could argue, might lead to a bigger company or GameStop surviving because there's going to be a used market for those games. They're not going to keep making Xbox One games when the Xbox Scarlet has been a couple years out. They're just not going to. But those Xbox One games are going to be backwards compatible. So when people want to play an older Xbox One game or an older PlayStation 4 game, they need to buy it used. Now, you could argue eBay is an option, but there's a lot of people out there that don't like waiting, hence digital. Now, unless they open their digital storefront and they stop having these games get delisted so quickly, it feels like super quick. I mean, Forza 4 was delisted recently. It's one of the Dirt games is delisted recently. So that's why I don't like digital, because they get delisted and where do you get it? It's gone. Who knows how it deals with your license at that point? Yeah, you own it for now, but when you get your Xbox Scarlet, who knows what games are going to transfer over? Who knows? I mean, look at PT, for example. Yeah, that game is free, but you can't download it anymore. And even if you download it to begin with, I can see it in my previous games, but I can't download it again. So because of that sort of thing, people might be thinking like I am, and they might start buying physical games of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, especially, like I said, if those games start getting delisted or they don't have them available in a digital marketplace. Nintendo is terrible about having a digital marketplace on stuff for older stuff. But then again, I mean, I guess most of their consoles aren't backwards compatible. Because they just keep switching formats. They're all over the place. They're kind of a wacky thing to look at, but because they're going to be backwards compatible, and there's rumor actually that the PlayStation 5 is going to be backwards compatible all the way to the PlayStation 1, which I would love. I doubt it's going to happen, but I would freaking love that. And you know who else would love that? GameStop. GameStop would freaking eat that up. I mean, you'd see PS2 games skyrocket. I guarantee it. Every single PS2 game out there is going to go at least a couple bucks. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but the more popular ones are going to go up even more in value, because why would people not want to play PlayStation 2 games at an up-resed HD level and re-experience their childhood? They don't have to worry about a PlayStation 2 Classic at that point. Their PlayStation 5 is the PlayStation 2 Classic. And that would be a huge time for either GameStop to survive or recoup, or if GameStop is gone by then, I don't know if it would be gone by then, that seems rather quick for such a large company, then we would start seeing a surge of mom and pop stores because there would be profitability again. A lot of people are probably sitting on old PS2 games, or they know they can buy them up right now. And then if it does happen, we're going to see a huge surge and a huge interest again in used games. We're going to see PS3 games jump up in price again, because there's lots of great PS3 games that I would love to play again, but I don't want to set up my PS3 because I'm just as lazy as everybody else. Actually, just kidding. I have my PS3 set up in the other room, but I don't play PS3 games on it. I just watch Netflix, as most people I'm sure do if they have a PS3 anywhere but their game room. So it would be neat to be able to play these older games again, and it would revitalize a lot of old internet communities like Little Big Planet. Mod Nation Racers. There's so many games that I feel like would have a second rebirth if they were to be backwards compatible. Again, this is all speculation, but this is what this whole episode is. It's just speculation as to what it would be like if GameStop died. And I kind of went off track a little bit, but like I said, even if it died tomorrow, it would be a long time, even before I feel like family-owned ones would start popping up. And depending on where you live, you might have a lot of smaller game stores right now in your area. But I don't think they would start opening more stores because of the death of GameStop. I don't see a large expansion. The profits right now GameStop are trying. I mean, when I was working there, they were trying everything. I mean, they tried phones, for crying out loud. They tried phone plans. Like, what the hell? Phone plans in the store? And they still weren't doing well. They weren't doing well with trade-ins for phones and stuff like that. Yeah, we got the occasional one, but it was so rare. It was not a huge money-making area. Games are what GameStop is known for. And when it comes to new games, the profit is razor thin. When it comes to new systems, even more razor thin. You would rely on selling lots of shit when somebody comes in to buy one of those new systems. So initially, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet, or whatever they call it, is not going to help out GameStop a lot. And if they need money quick, it's not going to do it. Because like I said, razor thin, and most people are going to want to buy the newer games before they realize, oh, it's backwards compatible, I'll buy some old games. Or if the launch title... GameStop should be hoping that the launch titles suck. Because if they do, they might get a lot of people to buy the older generation games that are still popular. I mean, I've been talking to people out and about, and they talk about how they don't have a PlayStation 4 anymore. They gave it away. They didn't have time, and they're thinking about waiting for the PlayStation 5 to then play more PlayStation 4 games. So that could revitalize GameStop, or if they're dead, which again, I don't think so, will slightly increase the chance of more mom and pop shops sprouting up. But I don't see even an EB Games level company happening again. I'm hoping to see more hangout retro store stuff like that. That would be cool. I'm never going to knock that sort of stuff. I'm always happy to see new card shops and new video game stores open, because it creates more of a competition, and it also helps balance the secondary market. If games are really ridiculously hard to find, they're known as rare, and then they go up in value. If there is only eBay, and that's the only secondary market, which, yeah, it's a huge secondary market, and it definitely does dictate the prices that you see in GameStop and mom and pop shops. But because GameStop sets these prices and they have such a large inventory, they are controlling that secondary market, I think, a lot. I mean, I saw games that, like Eternal Darkness, that were in the secondary market for almost $40, and then GameStop turned around and was selling it for like about 20, and that drove the price down. I don't know what it is right now. These are just prices from back when I looked at this sort of stuff. It felt like GameStop was almost doing a service to the secondary market and keeping the prices straight. Now, they definitely do have games that are way overblown in price and they're way above market value, but most games, they're keeping in line or keeping the market from going crazy. Because if it's only eBay, somebody could speculate, buy a bunch of copies. We're seeing this in Magic. People will speculate, buy a bunch of copies of a card. They'll make it more rare, drive the value up. People could do that with video games very easily. So we'll see what happens. But overall, if GameStop died, I don't know that a lot of change would happen immediately. I feel like it would be, honestly, I think it would be a net negative, just because it is already so established. It has such a big inventory, and like I said, it is really controlling that secondary market. And that to me is important, because I don't want to see game prices go all crazy. Because if you rely on places like I said, mom and pop shops, I mean, there are some local places that the prices are ridiculous. I mean, if you had only those places and GameStop to shop for games, like Best Buy, Target didn't exist, you guys would love GameStop, because they're selling, we'll go back to Eternal Darkness, they were selling that game for like $50. Ridiculous. Go over to GameStop, $20 shipped. So, as much as I hate the corporation and all the scummy things they do, it is nice to see that they have to keep their prices in check in order to move their inventory. You know, those are my thoughts. I think that's what would happen. And I guess with the way it's going, I feel like GameStop will be gone. I really do. I just keep seeing way too much bad information about it. I just see so many things that are going wrong with it. I'm hearing people getting laid off. All the things I said about them going to like phone stores to solicit stuff. Lots of people on the subreddit are going crazy. It doesn't look good. So, I don't know. It's really up to this next generation of consoles to see what happens. And like I said, the backwards compatibility definitely helps and increases the odds a bit more that they won't die, but it seems like they're gonna die. So let me know in the comments if you guys think GameStop will die, and if you do, tell me what you think will happen when GameStop dies. Do you think it'll be a net positive or a net negative? And of course, if you guys liked the video, leave a like down below, subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See ya. Drinking another Santan Juicy Jack. Smooth as hell. Super delicious. It's awesome. So, the podcast this Friday, or available now if you're a patron. It's been available since, I think, Sunday? Yes. Been available since Sunday night if you're a $1 patron. It's only $1. And this Friday, you guys will see it. It's a new format, because like I said, I did it with Camelot 331. I definitely want to have other guests on here as well. Going to be seeing more Steven as well. It's going to be, I don't know, I'm playing around with the format a lot, and I did want to keep it as Back to the Futon. So even though it's me and Camelot with the two separate video feeds, it's on a futon. I have got like a whole background that I made and stuff like that. So it'll be really interesting, and I'll probably talk about in another podcast about how much of a pain in the ass that podcast was to edit. Good God, that was a pain in the ass. Oh my God. I'll do it differently next time, because that was crazy. But yeah, expect to see more. people on the podcast, and I think by opening it up to more, either guests or different co-hosts, it'll make for a really interesting one. I mean, we'll have a lot more voices out there, a lot more opinions, a lot more people I can talk to, and this Camelot one was just so much fun, and I think it went really well. So can't wait for you guys to watch it.